theme song.
The Simpsons.
Hello, and welcome to the For Once Maybe Someone Will Call Me Sir Without Adding You're Making a Scene podcast. My name is Kristen, and I'm here with my good friend Jesse, and we are going to talk about The Simpsons today on the Perfectly Cromulent Simpsons Show, episode number 47. We also have a bunch of ways you can reach out to us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Cromulent Show. And if you feel the need to email us, you can do that. Be like, hey, I want to give you Simpsons stuff. We'll take it. At cromulentshow@gmail.com.
Otherwise, don't email us.
Really quickly, before we dive into the episode for this week, we forgot to rate last week's episode.
Let's be clear, Kristen. We didn't forget anything. I forgot because it was my responsibility. And I'm supposed to be the veteran leading us through this podcast landscape and not stepping on any landmines. And damn it if I don't clear the landmines by stepping on every single one. So a little housekeeping. So if you're listening here, hopefully it's because you just rolled right over from episode 46 and you're like, man, I didn't hear them rate it. Or you were like, oh, it ended. Either way, we've got to rate the last one. We didn't want to add it on there because that would be, like work. So it's here. And hopefully that works for you guys. So for me, Kristen and I talked about it before we recorded episode 46. We're in episode 47 now. Remember, this is rating for that. We're kind of in this mid-season lull. It's not our favorite episode. It's not the most exciting episode. I gave it a 2.6. I hope that's not too harsh. But out of 4, putting it somewhere right in that, 2.5 range felt like, yeah, that's about where it landed. Had some funny spots.
So you get the land of chocolate from it, right?
You get the land of chocolate. You get the Pee Wee Flophouse comment.
Yep.
You get the half price chocolate thing. There's some good jokes. Strongest of the season. It is not 2.6.
Yeah, I think too. It's like it's that episode more so than a lot of episodes do. You get a little bit more Mr. Burns in it, and a little bit more like what drives Mr. Burns, which is interesting, right? Because it's not about the money. Yeah, it's not about money. It's about your power over people, and you get a lot of that in this episode. So I think it's interesting. I myself was like 2.3, so I was really close to you. I didn't want to give it a 2, but I didn't want to give it a 2.5 either. I was like 2.3 for some reason. That was my gut instinct, and I think it's just because, especially coming off the back of the last 2 that we just did, which were Flaming Moe and the Saturdays of Thunder. Those 2 have so many jokes, so many sight gags, so much stuff going on in them that like after watching those 2, this one felt a little, it was good, but it felt a little slower and not as like it did. It's not one that I think about often other than the land of chocolate. So
right.
2.3 was where I didn't want to give it a 2. I'm like, it's not so bad. I feel like it deserves a 2, but I don't want to go much higher than a 2. So 2.3 was my awkward scoring.
Yeah, I feel like when I was looking back the other night before we get to this episode, Kristen and I are kind of updating a lot of the things that Greg and I had done prior, just to kind of get things a little more succinct. Greg and I definitely, I think Kristen and I are in a little more like get this podcast off the ground mode, and Greg and I were in like a passion project mode. Like none of that stuff mattered. We were like, just fucking throw it up there. It's the Simpsons podcast. Who cares? Because we were doing another podcast, and it was our way to like, have that control to be like, we don't care. We're just doing it that way. Of course I just lost my train of thought because I speak too many words to even keep myself in line here. I'm like, hey, let me do a quick segue and then I'll forget what I'm talking about. So that's fantastic. Oh, what I was going to say is I don't think that we had rated anything a 1 so far in the ones at all. I also think that some of our lower rated ones were because we were upset about how the episode made us feel less than the episode being bad. Like the one where Marge emotionally cheats on Homer with Jacques. we were like
Yeah.
1.1 0.
This is
I hate it.
horrible.
And like Homer, early on tries to kill himself by walking with a rock into the ocean, and we're like, so selfish, so I feel
Yeah,
like sometimes we just get rated by like, we love these characters and we don't want to see them do things we don't like. So it's
for
kind of
sure.
a funny thing for us, where it's not always about TV making and cinematography, and it's just like,
No.
I don't like how this made me feel sad.
Yeah. No, I
So,
think like basically my rating's partially based on this one didn't make me laugh as much, you know? what I mean?
which is fair. That's 100% fair.
But yeah, so that's where we are. So you did 2.6, I did 2.3. I'm bad at splitting the difference.
Yeah, somewhere in the 2.5 region. Yeah,
Yeah.
2.45.
It's it's not terrible. It's just not the best. That's all. That's
Right.
all. All
That's
right.
it.
Are we ready to do today's episode?
Yeah, I have it playing right next to me.
That's beautiful of you. I was thinking just randomly now, you know what? Maybe one day we should actually just do like a watch along. It might be fun. See
Oh,
what's
100%. Maybe
like we
one
could.
day we'll get to Patreon, and that's what we could do.
Oh, these are ideas. Lock them in the safe because success is coming. Anyway, um, today's fabulous Simpsons episode, "I Married Marge," season 3, episode 12. The original air date was December 26th, 1991. Written by Jeff Martin, directed by Jeffrey Lynch, and I started to read the stuff I already said, so I'm going to stop talking now.
So
Uh,
this was a solo written, solo directed as well.
yes, yes.
Remember when we were talking about not being that funny? That might be
Yeah.
an issue.
See, I think too, like this will lead us to do, I think, like some special podcast episodes where it's like we are going to talk about the effects of, you know,
100%.
this type of
I, I,
like,
I think
this versus that.
I think for me, and remind me to remind you of some of these ideas. I'm going to write it on a post-it note. But I have some other ideas revolving around Simpsons and pop culture for the future too. So go on.
Okay. So, anyways, an interesting, an interesting little tiny note for this one. Um, in 1992, it was the most successful primetime Emmy Awards for The Simpsons. They won 6 Emmys, all for outstanding voiceover performance. Yeah, and the recipients were one of them was for this episode, "I Married Marge," for the voice of Marge Simpson, Julie Kavner. So she won it. She won her award for this episode, like for her voiceover work in this episode, which I just thought was kind of neat. I was like, that's a neat.
It's also very
neat one.
random because it doesn't stand out to me in any way, shape, or form.
I think part of the thing is this is a very Marge heavy episode, right? Like, so she's talking.
True. And it
She's
is
talking so
emotionally
much.
heavy.
Yeah, and she's talking so much in this episode. I don't think, you know what, I've looked at this twice and I'm looking at it one more time. We don't have there's no Phil Hartman in this one. He's been in so many of the in
Yeah, you're like,
3
wait, that doesn't make any sense. But do they
Yeah.
give is Marsha Wallace? I guess no, she's not in this one.
No, she's not in there either.
Yeah.
No.
It
This
was
is
always weird to me that Mrs. Krabappel was a guest star.
yeah.
But
No, but I mean, it makes sense though that this one's just like very like center cast heavy though, right? Like because it's about Marge and Homer, and a lot of the other people that are in it are also voiced by those people, or Hank Azaria, because that's him. Um, Hank Azaria has so many credits in The Simpsons, right? But
yeah.
most of the episode is deals with the immediate families of Marge and Homer this time, right? Like, so you get Patty and Selma, you get Marge's mom, you get Abe and stuff like that. But it's more of a family affair this time than like one where they're walking around town constantly or talking to random folks or whatever,
or having some Germans stop
or having
by.
some Germans show up. So the show starts with a tight shot on a pregnancy test that's called Barnacle Bill's home pregnancy test. I forgot to mention. Sorry, the chalkboard. See, that's the thing. I had it written down, and anyways, the chalkboard gag is, "I will not torment the emotionally frail," and the coach gag is all of them cartwheeling in onto the couch and being like,
the
"Ta-da!"
gymnastics.
Yeah. So the episode starts with a tight shot on Barnacle Bill's home pregnancy test, and Homer and Marge having a conversation because Marge believes she may be pregnant. There is some concern about picking this pregnancy test because it's not a very well known brand, and apparently Homer's reason for picking this one was because it came with a corncob pipe because he doesn't want a corncob pipe.
It's a pretty good reason. It's a pretty good reason. I'm just saying.
Um, so Marge is reading the instructions for their home pregnancy test, and she's performed the test, and they're trying to read the results, and she reads the box, and the box says, "Ahoy, mateys! If the water turns blue, a baby for you. If purple ye see, no baby there be."
I love
Which
it
is
so much.
it's it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best things in the whole episode, right there. Like, no baby there be. Um, and then Homer asks, "What color is it?" Marge replies, "Pink." Um, to which comes the next line in the instructions: "If ye test should fail, to a doctor set sail." And Marge
Yes.
decides she should go see Dr. Hibbert. Um, and then, of course, the kids kind of wandering at this time, and they wonder why Mom's going to the doctor. And this prompts Homer to, well, first he tries to lie to them because he doesn't want to tell them that she might be pregnant. Bart kind of puts out there that, I think she's pregnant, and so this sets it up for Homer to sit down and tell the story of Marge's first pregnancy with Bart and how all of that happened. Um,
I love that it's like, how you're like, oh yeah, Julie Kavner won an Emmy because it's her talking so much, but the episode is actually Homer telling a story,
yeah,
but it's
yeah, yeah,
Marge having a lot to say.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Marge's
yeah.
responsibility. Yeah, I think that's great.
No, it's true. It's so true. It's so true though, right? Because she's taken off to the doctor, and I actually don't think that, like, technically, like, in the real time, in like the now that he's in, you don't see her again until the end of the episode. She's not in the room at all.
Right. It's just past Marge. We get past Marge.
Which is interesting because now I'm sitting here thinking, how did he know all the discussions that she had without him in the room?
That's the glory of any first person narrative. Wait, how do you know?
Anyways, um, Homer tries to set the scene, talking about how it was a turbulent decade known as the '80s, and how John Anderson. I don't know who John Anderson is. Maybe Americans do. The candidacy of John Anderson. I don't know who. I'm not an American.
A failed presidential candidate.
There we go. But I do know who Supertramp was, and Homer mentions that with the rise of Supertramp, and it's an exciting time to be young, and of course you get some nice Supertramp music in there for a moment, but uh, we fade to the past. So now we're moving into the past. It's back. I didn't realize this, and I should have thought about it because putting two and two together, Bart's 10, right? And it's 1991, which means this is 1981. So there you go. So, like, how old would Bart be now? He'd be
43.
Yeah, 43. Yeah.
Unless his birthday is after December.
Yep. He's getting to be an old man now. Anyways, we find ourselves at Sir Put-a-Lot's Merry Old Fun Center and mini golf course, which is like a dream job apparently for Homer. Um I don't even I can't remember. That's not even the first time that they talk about him wanting to work somewhere that's like, I guess there's one where he works in the bowling alley too, right? Like he works in the bowling alley. Is he
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of promising jobs. Really quickly, too, because I looked it up. John Anderson was an independent candidate from 1980, and if Bart was being born in 81, that's the last presidential election. So if it were
Right.
early in the year too, the election would have just happened, and Homer would have remembered John Anderson's independent presidential run.
Exactly. No, totally, totally. So if you've ever wondered how those the windmills run in a mini golf place, like how those turn, you're about to find out because the first thing that happens is there's a knock on. We see a windmill and there's a knock on the door, and the door opens and it's Homer inside, and his boss, who's outside, tells him he's turning the crank for the windmill too quickly, and that the golfers are complaining. So Homer's like slows it down, so gets told he's doing a good job.
Yeah, like, you keep this up, you'll be the guy that's handing out the putters.
Which is great. Like I love that. I love that it's like it. I love that he has a job. His job is turning the blades, um, turning the blades in the windmill. Um, so I do like to. Then we flash back. We flash back forward to like the regular time, and the kids are done. They don't listen anymore.
Yeah,
And I
they're
think they
outside playing croquet.
Yeah, and I think that this happens a few times throughout The Simpsons where, like, they reference that kids nowadays don't have long attention spans and they need a break now, and I think I like it too when they in The Simpsons when they use those moments as times to have commercial breaks because I was like, it's beautiful. It's
Yes.
a beautiful truth. Okay. Um, well, it is. It's just a beautiful truth. Um,
Especially now. They thought it was bad then.
oh
They didn't
God,
even have
yeah.
cell phones yet.
No, it's so much worse now. Now kids are just like, I can't even tell you how often I see kids just like pick up their parents' cell phones if they do not have their own and be like, this is what I'm doing now. Um, Goodbye.
Yeah,
So then
you ain't wrong.
we go back into we go back into the in into the past though now, and we're finding out about this wonderful date night that Homer takes Marge on. He's picking her up from her house where she lives with her sister and her mom still, and of course, Patty and Selma and her mom do not like Homer. They're not enthusiastic on him. And I do like it when they're like, if you wanted if you like being pawed by something that's fat and lazy, we could get a cat. It would leave less hair around. I do like.
Yeah. Damn. They're so brutal to Homer in this episode.
They're not nice. Not nice to him. Mind you, Homer does call for Marge to come out by telling her to get her butt out here. Like, instead of going to the door and, like, knocking on it and being all nice, he's like, get your butt out here. So,
Yeah.
you know, fine. And then I like this. This is one of my this is a great pop culture reference right here because they show they obviously Homer and Marge go on their date and they show them walking out from the movie theater. The movie they have seen is The Empire Strikes Back, and they're
Yes.
that's what they're doing. And before they watched the movie though, they had a little bit of talk about their future and stuff like that too, right? And like what do you you can tell Marge is trying to prod at him, like, are we gonna get hooked up together? Or we're not gonna date forever, and she's kind of doing the girlfriendy, where's this going speech type of thing,
Yeah,
idea
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
talking
Yeah,
to, and
pressuring us men into decisions we're not ready to make.
and prodding him about his future prospects too, like, you're not gonna you're
Yeah,
not
this
gonna work at
job
the mini
can't
golf.
be very stimulating.
Yeah, like, you're not gonna work at the mini golf course forever, right? Anyways, uh, they, in there though, Homer says some sweet things and implies that he, leaves some time to think about Marge and yada yada yada. So they go in, they see the movie, and I love this moment. They're coming out of the movie theater, having just witnessed as a Star Wars fan, one of the greatest movies of all time, Empire Strikes Back. And one of the first things that Homer says is, as they're walking past the lineup, is, "I can't believe." Who'd have thought Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father? Like just announcing it to the whole line.
Spoiler alert, Kristen.
I know. If you didn't
Jeez.
know, I'm sorry. If you didn't know.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Blow the Picture for me.
Um, and then we have another nice, like, cute moment between Homer and Marge, where Homer tells Marge that she's as pretty as Princess Leia and as smart as Yoda, which is that's very very sweet, right? Very very sweet.
Just so you
Um,
guys know, we'll be out here fucking just spoiling 44-year-old movies the entire time we're doing this shit. All right? So bring it on.
um, so uh, and then we also see, like, Marge and Homer they're having a lovely date. They're singing that song to each other, that, like, that "You Light Up My Life" song or whatever, and you know
It's so nice.
it's so lovely. It's so nice. Homer thinks it's about a guy she loves, and then, I guess in a way you could say it is, but it's about God. And Homer's learning things. Marge is teaching him. You know, she's like, well, she's not singing about a dude. Anyway, so, like, to cap
Wait,
off their,
God's always happy. Wait, he's always mad.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, to top off their swell night of movie watching and singing in the car. I guess because Homer lives at home too, they're like the best private place we got is the mini golf course, is the castle in the mini golf course. I guess that's the thought. So Homer takes her to the castle at the mini the mini golf course. And they're they get inside kind of like at the windmill part, they go inside and they're drinking some champagne inside
I
the
love that. I
the
also
the
love that
castle.
Homer calls the castle impregnable.
Yes, yes. Yes. So so Homer's like, uh what's she say? That they're kissing, they're
Maybe
making
it's
out.
the champagne talking.
Thank you. And there's a part where Marge says, "What if we get caught?" And he says, "Don't worry, this castle is impregnable." And right as that happens, one of the golfers does one of those special hole things where it goes right in and like a big sign flashes, you won, and so that
Yeah.
implying that it is totally pregnantable. And
My favorite thing is
it's great.
probably my whole life growing up, I thought that champagne was like a fancy drink. It's malt liquor. It's malt liquor. I think I found that out probably 5 years ago. I
Are you
saw it.
serious? Wait,
I
wait,
don't.
no, wait. Champagne is the thing and is malt liquor?
Did you not know? I saw it in a store. I was like, "Holy shit! I've seen that on The Simpsons." And I just looked it up to double check, but like it says, champagne is a brand. It's not even a thing. It's a brand of malt liquor with yeasts more commonly used in wine fermentation. So like it's basically beer that sparkles with a wine taste.
Mind blowing. I
All
didn't even
right,
know
so
that. I didn't
that's
know
what
that.
because it's champagne and ale.
Ale,
Champagne.
hail. I get it. I
Yep.
thought it was, yeah. I thought it
Yeah,
was just drunk talk. I thought it was
I mean,
drunk talk.
literally, I thought champagne was just a fancy drink. I was like, oh shit, Homer splurged, but
No,
so
no, we're
I
learning
saw it
is
at the
what's
store,
happening.
or maybe I saw some. I'm pretty sure I saw it in a store, so maybe it was a knockoff because I don't think champagne is a brand any longer.
Yeah,
But
but it might have been or it was at one time or whatever. It's a thing. That's all.
sounds gross. Sounds gross.
Yeah, no, it sounds terrible. So yeah, uh, so we have had the visual the visual indication that the castle is very susceptible to being impregnated, and with the golfer winning the free round of golf, while they're in there getting it on, and we cut. It's now daytime, and they're in Barn and Homer and Barney are in the apartment. And they're eating cookie dough, and they're watching. I think it's Charlie's Angels. They're
I
watching.
love that it's like a dinner. He's like, "Could you pass the cookie dough?" They're just
Yeah,
sharing a roll
uh,
of chocolate
they're
chip cookie dough.
yeah, and they're not even like breaking off pieces or cutting off pieces. Like they're literally just eating it out of
Just
the
biting it.
tube,
Yeah.
and they're very happy. Um, and then the phone rings, and it's Marge, and Marge's. I always forget this, but apparently at one point Marge was a car hop girl at a
Yeah.
like drive-in food place, which is great. You know, I like that places like that do kind of still exist, but like they're very like that's their gimmick, right? Like we're
Yeah,
a
you got to go to like a
1950s
Sonic that still
diner.
does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we used to have a place in where I grew up called Fat Jack's. And that's what it was. It was like on Friday nights, everybody brought their hot rods there. Like all the old men
Yes.
hung out there, but they had a really great chicken sandwich. So
Right. Oh, there's a restaurant out here called White Spot that at some of them they still do that. Like you go and you pull into the parking lot like on the side of the building that does the food service to your car, and you like flash your lights or whatever, and then you sit there and they come out to your car and you order from the car, and they bring you the weird, thing that goes across like the like fake
yeah, it
cable,
hangs from your
you know.
window.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yep,
And
yep.
and it was dying in all of them until the pandemic happened, and then they brought it back for the pandemic because you could go out for dinner, right? Because you're
Yes.
sitting in your car. Anyway, that's my big thing. So Marge informs Homer that something's wrong. Something is wrong with her, and that maybe the castle fortress was not as impregnable as he thought it once was. And so she's like, "You need to take me to the doctor." And so they go and they go and see a very young Dr. Hibbert. He's got a nice,
I love his afro.
yeah, he's got a nice round afro. Um, he's a little bit slimmer, He's a young guy. He's a younger guy, and he's a little bit slimmer. Um, uh, and I love it because he's just like, well, Miss Bouvier, I think we found the reason why you've been throwing up in the morning. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like this is great for you. And they're just like, oh, like they're not.
Not to go back too far, but when Marge tells Homer that she thinks he's pregnant and Homer has the cookie dough and he squeezes it all
Squeezes
out.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally
Perhaps
forgot
this
about that.
pamphlet will prove helpful.
Yeah. So, and Dr. Hibbert gives them they're all both like they don't know what to do. They got, Homer says they got to get married or something, I guess. And then, they have a bit of conversation and I do like, how they do talk about how like Homer wasn't planning on proposing this afternoon or whatever, and he had plans with Barney. Like, it's like this wasn't part of my plans for the day for you to be pregnant and us have to get married. I do,
Homer's
and
so traditional.
I know, right? And then Dr. Hibbert, I suggest you talk this over with your parents. I think they're both in their early 20s here too, but that's okay. I suggest you
Yeah,
both talk this over.
Homer said he was 24.
Yeah, so
I think that
I
makes
feel
Marge 20 or 21.
something like that, right? I
According
feel
to
like the
lore.
call to talk about it with their parents. Maybe it's just because they seem so hapless. Dr. Hibbert's like, you need more help. And he's like, I
Yeah.
suggest you talk this over with your parents. Perhaps this pamphlet will prove helpful. And the pamphlet is called So You've Ruined Your Life.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's great, right? So you've ruined your life.
Nelson, get out of here. You're not even born yet.
And that's also when they cut across the hallway and you see like there is somebody listening in. The guy's in like full traction and all banjoed up, and he's a little worried for Homer and Marge too. And I do like that. There's that the worry expands past them. Like this is not good. Anyways, we leave the doctor's office and we haven't cut back to the present time for a long time already now, right? Like we're just in the past
We are
now
in
since there.
1981.
Yeah. So obviously marriage is on their mind because it's already been brought up because Homer's like, they're like, we gotta do something. So they go out. Homer takes her to like, I'm going to call it Lookout Point because that's usually what those types of places are called in TV shows and movies and things like that, right? Like it looks out over the town and it's all beautiful, and asks her to marry him because
Don't forget that
he's not
Abe
who.
tells him too, right? Abe's
Oh
like,
yeah,
you gotta marry her, and he's like, oh, is she that great? He's like, no, you're never gonna find a woman that good again. You gotta lock it down.
yeah. Oh, and I forgot. This is also where we find out how Marge's dad died. Right. This is when I think this is the part where like Selma and Patty and them have a discussion about getting rid of Homer or something like that. I think I can't remember. If that's
I think
this
it's
one.
after this.
Is it
It's
after this part?
I believe
It's after
so,
this
yeah.
part. Yeah. Anyway, so so Homer gets told you got to marry her. So then Homer goes and asks her to marry him, and
There's a really
marry
great
him.
shot in that too. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
when they're
Please
first
interrupt.
at the lookout point,
Yeah.
you can see the nuclear power plant in the distance, and it's just glowing and flashing green. I love it so much.
I do think like it is that lookout point in that part of the episode is like such a great shot of Springfield.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
think you
up
can.
where the Springfield sign is, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can see the tire fire, which like I feel like if I could see the tire fire, it would just be that much better. You know what I
That's true.
mean?
Also,
Like,
you've got I love Homer's chain steering wheel.
oh, it's great. It's great, right? Um, Oh, sorry, I forgot. I skipped over the part we did. That is because you brought up the cool MOD thing. Like right before, like right when I said we haven't checked into the past, I mean into the present, we actually did just check into the present, just, and that's when the kids are arguing over what the baby's name might be. Could it be Ariel? No, it'd be Cool Mo D Simpson. And
Yeah,
they
cool
they have,
Modi.
yeah, they have the best, best names that you can get. So yeah, so Marge and Homer have decided they're going to get married, so because that's what you do, right? And I think
Right, so
like
old-fashioned.
it's so old fashioned. It's so old fashioned. I think they go out shopping for wedding ring, I guess, right? They go shopping for because he doesn't have a wedding ring with him in the car, right? It's
No,
just
no,
like
he's more like Abe told him the fish jumped right in the boat. You got to do this.
yeah, like move now, right?
Yeah.
And
Ask
so they go,
now, ask questions later.
yeah, 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 yeah. So they go out shopping for. So she says, "Yes, I'm going to marry you." They go out shopping for a wedding ring. This is where they have a conversation about baby names, and like every name that Marge throws out there, he points out that like, hey, like Marcus, that they're going to call the kid Mucus. Like
Right.
he goes through like the bad names that come out of whatever name she's like. It's like when someone's like, "Oh, we can name our kid Steven." And it's like, "Oh, so people are gonna call him like Stepan or something like that." Like
Right. And
all
Homer
the ways
comes
you can make
one
fun of
letter
it.
short from realizing Bart's downfall.
Yeah, fart.
He's like, Bart, cart, yart. Yeah, that's good.
Right. Um. So they've kind of discussed babies' names now, right? And they go off to get married. They go off. They're off to a beautiful wedding ceremony at Shotgun Pete's 24-hour wedding chapel.
Yeah. Also,
Um.
they don't have. Um. Um. Oh, I lost my train of thought again. They don't have. Nope. Go ahead.
Okay.
they're Pete's. You know what I could do really quick
Yeah.
because the justice of the peace there
Is he the
he's the
thing?
character bio.
Yeah. Give us the character bio.
Yeah. That way, because I won't forget later.
Yeah.
The justice of the peace occupation is bargain minister at Shotgun Pete's wedding chapel. His style is insensitive. He tends to not bother with learning the names of people he's marrying. And the way he performs ceremonies is with great speed. He believes a life of wedded bliss begins with $10 worth of chips. And it has a quote here. Next. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, that was perfect. So they go to Shotgun Pete's 24-hour wedding chapel, which is it. I noted that it is a beautiful wedding chapel that it's like it doesn't appear to actually be in Springfield, right? Like I think he says it's just
Vegas,
across
right?
state
It's way
line.
like
Yeah.
sloped to Vegas.
Yeah.
It does look beautiful, but there are a lot of stains on the ceilings.
A lot of stains. There's like some broken shutters. It looks kind of ran down, but I think there's also like some hearts that are thrown around the build around it, to make it
It's
look
definitely
fitting for love.
it's festive up. I also remember what I was thinking about. They both say that they want to name him Bart, and they're good with it. His name is Bartholomew, and neither of them ever mention his name. I mean, his name is Bartholomew Jojo
Bartholomew.
Simpson. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I always just thought that was interesting.
No, it's because they do just go
They are
with
just saying
like
Bart.
Bart. They're like Bart, right? So,
Let's see. Bart, cart, dart, art. Nope, can't see any problem with that.
just a little short of fart, right? Anyways, this is a very classy wedding chapel, as we're talking about. Wedding photos are $50. They'll take for an extra $50. They'll do wedding photos for you, and also the 10th wedding that you have there is on the house. So if you get married 10th time,
Make sure you use the punch card.
yeah. So there are deals to be had, and then of course we see our justice of the peace. What does he say? Like you, and he points at
Yeah,
Homer.
you. But
I
first, Cletus and Aileen get married.
I was gonna say, but like first it's Cletus and Aileen, and you know what? Because Cletus is a common character in
Right.
subsequent years.
Cletus, the
It's not
slack
this
jawed
Cletus.
yokel.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not this Cletus though, right? But isn't her name? Isn't it? What is Cletus's like regular wife's name? Is it Aileen?
No,
No,
it
it's something different, right?
is Cletus. As soon as I see it, I'm gonna be like, why did that not pop right into my?
Yeah.
Nate, is it Nate? Brandine. It's Brandine, right?
Branding, thank you. It's very close, right? It's very close.
I always forget that his full name is Cletus Dale Roy Montfort de Montblanc Bigglesworth Spuckler.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It is Brandine because it's the same name as the main white trash character in Joe Dirt.
Oh, right. There we go. Also, so I'm just
No
doing the
offense to
math.
anybody named Brandine out there. That's just a fact from The Simpsons and Joe Dirt that has nothing to do with your name being Brandine.
So I'm just doing the math here. The basic wedding ceremony is $20, and you can get wedding photos for $50. Um, so for $70,
And you
you can
get
have.
$10 worth of chips. So that's
I was
like
just
really $60 net.
$60. You're getting the whole. You're getting the whole wedding, right? Um, uh, I think I think that's too, like so. Anyway, they're up next, and they're gonna do this, and Marge expresses some disappointment with how this is playing out. It's not exactly how she had planned it to, but it is kind of what it is what it comes down to, right? And they get married. They get
And they
married,
get the
and
photo. So I imagine they paid the full 70 because they get the red-eyed
they get
photo
the
as they're kissing. Yeah.
they get the photo, and it's a quick ceremony. Bing bang bong. It's done. Um, and I kind of wonder if they went and played some slots or something with those $10 chips, or if they just saved them
Homer
as
did
a thing.
not waste $10 worth of chips. I mean, he might have wasted them, but he wouldn't have.
I
He
bet
wouldn't.
waste
There's
them, right?
also, but Marge becomes the gambling addict later, so I don't know. I don't know.
It's true. That is 100% what happens, right? Um, so uh, so then we move forward, and M- Homer and Marge, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into having a kid, right? You got to buy well, first off, I think they're still at living at Marge's mom's house, parents' house, mom's house, right? I think at this time, and they got to buy all this baby stuff, and and it's expensive. Babies are expensive. You should know that. You have a couple of them. Babies are expensive,
They are.
and they have a bit of a conversation about this, and uh uh Marge is like, we don't have enough money for this, and they look out the window because from everywhere in Springfield you can see the nuclear power plant. It's the biggest building.
Green smoke barreling out.
you know so then it's decided that Homer will attempt to get a job at the nuclear power plant, because there's too much, I mean, obviously baby monitors in the 80s were probably a little bit more expensive because you can get some kind of cheap ones nowadays, but back then that was like a hot new item, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
radio baby monitors, like that couldn't have been cheap, I would think. um so Homer goes. So then we go to where Homer's at the nuclear power plant, and he's in, like, there's a now hiring sign, and he's sitting there with two other guys, and he's looking super nervous. They don't look so nervous. They look confident, like they know what they're doing. And this is the first time we see Smithers in this episode, because it's the first time we're at the nuclear power plant. So I don't know why I decided to bring that up, but I did. And anyway, so Smithers comes out and informs them that there's only room for two candidates, so one of them's going to go home handed. And right away, Smithers recognizes one of them as his buddy Lou, from college days, and
It's hard to
uh,
imagine Waylon Smithers in a fraternity.
yeah, but apparently he was. There's a secret handshake and everything, and then the other guy, the other applicant that's sitting there, stands up and is like, basically like, I went to the same. I
I'm
went to
from
the
the
same place.
Alabama chapter.
Yeah, so then obviously there's instant camaraderie between the three of them, and poor Homer is um kind of left out of the loop, and
He's trying though.
you can tell from the look on his face right away. He knows, I am not this is not going to be I'm not going to get chose. You can see that that's the look he's getting. um
Poor Homer.
I Yeah. And then uh we go to Dr. Hibbert taking care of Marge, and she's getting an ultrasound, and they're looking at the baby and having a moment. And in perfect Bart, I do love that Bart, apparently even in utero, has his spiky hair, and uh, is already getting his attitude on, because you see him. They show him on the monitor, kind of like relaxed with his hand
At
behind
this
his
point,
head.
I'm just convinced that's the shape of his skull.
That's the Um, Also, this is one of my other favorite parts of the episode, where where Bart kind of rolls over at one point, and Dr. Hibbert says, "If I didn't know better, I'd swear he was
Yeah.
trying to moon us.
Yeah.
I'd swear he's trying to moon us." Um, and then so Marge is happy or whatever, and we've already shown a little bit of Bart's budding attitude, if you will.
You
And
said
then
butt.
and then we go back to Homer trying to get this job. And it's at, and they're doing the whole typical job thing where it's like, what's your worst quality? And they're like, I'm an alcoholic. No, sorry. They didn't say I'm an alcoholic.
I
I
was like, wait a second.
no,
Wasn't that the last episode?
I was just gonna say that was stuck in my head from last episode. Yeah, I'm a workaholic is what one of them says. One says I push too hard. They give the standard answer,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Homer
I
being the
care too much.
Homer being the sweet thing that he is. Well, it takes me a long time to learn anything. I'm kind of a goof off. Like
He's honest.
you know. Um. So then Smithers also poses like a what if or how to handle a situation, like what if there was something with the nuclear reactor, what was something wrong with the reactor core, and where the other two sit there and understand that this is just a what if situation. Homer stands up and yells, "There's a problem with the reactor. We're all gonna die," and and
Handles
runs
it
out.
real nice and cool.
There's our good old future safety inspector, right? Um, so Homer goes back home. Homer informs Marge that she didn't get the job. Marge is looking through the bills where she's just like, "Yep, uh, we're failing." It's like second notice, third notice, all that type of stuff. Nothing's really
This
working
is
out
no
there.
good.
Yeah. But Marge, ever the optimist, and she often is, especially in these early seasons, right? She's like, forget that for a moment. Come feel the baby. Everything's good. And then we go through, Homer being like, he's gonna take care of the kid. He's like, things are gonna be okay. So Homer goes, and we have a montage, a lovely montage, right, of Homer, uh, doing various jobs around Springfield, right? So he goes and he's a candle maker, and he goes and like a ye old town, right? Like those ye old uh
Yeah, yeah. My favorite though is before this is he says, when this baby is born, the first thing he's gonna see is a man with a great job. And Selma's like, yeah, the doctor.
yeah, that's a good joke. That was a good one. Thank you for picking up on that one. That is a good one. Um they are brutal to him in these early episodes, aren't like
Yeah.
just mean.
What a crappy candle. You ruined our vacation.
So we have Homer working at like the ye old town making crappy candles. He gets a job with Slash Co. where he hands the knife to somebody the wrong way. So they grab the blade instead of the handle, and he tells himself, handle first, handle first. Um you know, he's 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 not doing good. He works at the as a those to train attack dogs, right? He's the guy that wears the outfit to train attack dogs to attack.
Really
Um
quickly, are you familiar with Cutco? Or is that an American only thing?
It might be an Ameri I feel like I know the
So
name, but I don't know if it's because it's like Cutco, you know what I
I,
mean?
I imagine, I have to imagine that it's nationwide based on the fact that Homer works at Slash Co., which is a door to door knife selling place.
Yeah.
Because there was a place like at a high school, everybody, because it paid pretty decent and it was called Cutco. And I never worked there, but I had plenty of friends that did. And some of them were the door to door salespeople, and some of them like worked in the office. But for sure, it was a door to door. I think they like
Go sell
more like
knives.
set appointments. But yeah, they went out and did like knife demos and stuff and sold kitchen knife sets. And it was called Cutco.
Door-to-door salesman used to be a thing at one time. It
Yeah.
was it was a thing.
Now I have a
Oh,
sign on my door that says,
go
do
away.
not knock, do not ring, do not make it weird.
um I'm gonna take for granted that Slash Code did not work out because Homer ends up at like one of those like money for nothing schemy type of places, right? Where he goes to like, like you can I do like this part because he goes to one of those talks where it's like you can get money for whatever, and our scheme isn't a pyramid scheme. And I think it's like a trapezoid or something like that instead. Like
Yeah.
it's not a pyramid, it's just a different shape. Um and basically he's promising huge amounts of money, but then all of a sudden the cops show up and he jumps out the window, which lets you know it was just a full-on scam. He was just going to take all their money from their paying to be there. So then after that we end up back on the couch with Homer and Marge. uh they're going through the bills again. One of their bills says "We break thumbs," which I think is is lovely. And then the repo man shows up and he starts taking stuff away, and the guy says he doesn't, he's like, this is the hardest part of my job and stuff, and nobody wants to have all their stuff repoed, but that's what they're doing. They're taking away basically taking away all the baby stuff, and they
Yeah,
take away Mark.
don't buy it if you can't afford it, broke ass.
Right. And also they take Marge's wedding ring, and
That's brutal.
it is brutal. And so that is our big that is our lowest moment, I think, in this episode, right? Where it's just like they're getting everything taken away now. It's like they don't even have the wedding ring they bought a few minutes ago. And it's night. Now it's nighttime, and Homer's decided, like, Marge is sleeping on a bed, Homer's on a couch. They're not sleeping together. Homer's thinking,
Using
and
Patty's letterhead.
yeah, he uses Patty's letterhead, and he writes Marge a letter. And the letter says, I'll tell you what the letter says. Dear Marge, by the time you read this, I will be gone. You deserve all the finest things in the world, and although I can give them to you, they will be repossessed, and I will be hunted down like a dog. Also, it's become clear that your family doesn't want me here.
Shut up with that pen scratching down there.
I will send you every cent I earn for the baby, but you will not see me again until I am a man, a responsible man who is fit to raise a family. And Homer goes and places the letter up on the table near Marge, and you know, does the whole, like, it's one of those very touching sad moments where Marge is, he's like saying goodbye and he leaves. Um, I don't. It's. I don't like. This isn't even the first time that Marge leaves. That Homer leaves Marge or something like that, is it? Like, I think it
It's like
happens a few
it's
times.
literally like the fourth or fifth. Like one in every 8 or 9 episodes is one of them either thinking they're going to leave, or like the audience. There's like an Artie Ziff thing. There's a Marge and Jacques. There's Homer and Mindy. Like yeah.
Oh, Mindy, yeah. Um, so then Homer grabs his suitcase, puts a for sale sign on his car, takes his Disco Sucks bumper sticker off his car and puts it on his suitcase because he's got to let people know the disco sucks. And we come back to the present where Lisa's talking about how it's so sad, and Bart's looking for lunch, which I believe he wants a can of frosting for lunch.
Yeah.
Very. And I think Homer says okay. I'm pretty sure he
Yeah,
says
Homer's
okay.
a great dad.
He's just
so.
like, yep, go for it. And then that's where we would actually have our commercial break. So pretend you're having a commercial break, and then you come back to the show. With Marge, Marge is crying over the letter. She's found the letter. Her family, I think, is pretty much, they're okay with Homer being gone, right? They're just like,
They fucking hate him.
They're like, we can make the best of this. And Marge is broken up, and so anyway, the family's kind of glad that Homer's gone, and Patty and Selma proceed to go out for the night, which is they go to the Gulp and Blow, where they get their delicious meal of I think it's like a hot dog or
with a cheese
nachos or
sauce
something like
on
that.
it or something.
Yeah. And they see Homer working there with a trainee hat on, so now they instantly know. Now they know where Homer is, and Homer's got a job. He's sending money to Marge and all that stuff. And the sisters decide to not tell Marge, right, where he is. They're not going to tell. They don't want to bring him back into their lives. Anyways, so
let her read about it in the society page.
He's got gainful employment though, so I mean he's winning, really, right? Like a minute ago he had no job, or like,
I mean, they did realize it was him because their taco was full of hair.
True.
So they
Good point.
looked back in the kitchen and went, "Oh, there he is."
Okay, that is fair. I mean, to be fair, like if anybody's listening to this and they haven't seen that episode, during this time he has a luscious head of hair. It's not just the 3 hairs.
And he's like spraying nacho cheese onto the tacos, and it gets all over his arm, and he licks it off.
Yeah, very food hygiene and food safety happening there. 110%. So like Homer has a job. It might not be the best job. He is still daydreaming, or at least thinking of like he wishes he could work at the nuclear power plant. And there's a scene where they show him at the gate looking in, like it's like this holy
Yeah,
land.
and doesn't like a donut truck roll
Yeah,
through or something? He's like,
yeah.
"Oh my
They
gosh."
get donuts, and the donut guy's like all the donuts of the rainbow or whatever. And Homer's kind of like, even I think this is really the time when Homer is like, oh my god, I need to work there. They get all the donuts.
That's right, all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Flies in,
Which
there's like heavenly rays coming down. Oh.
I mean, I believe that Homer would think anywhere that wants to offer him, like, even I think ice cream sundaes would do it too. Like if they're like, we get ice cream sundaes at work,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he'd be up for that. Anyways, then Marge is worried about Homer. Marge doesn't know where Homer is. She wishes he would come back. And she spends her nights kind of pining over him, to which uh even though it's against better judgment by some people in the family, I think is it Selma who tells Marge where he is? I can't remember. I didn't write it down. I just
I
wrote
believe
down.
it is.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
Selma. It's Selma. She sees Marge upset and pining over
Selma
the
does
situation and
tend to
stuff.
be the one who is the softer of the two.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so then she Selma says, I have two words for you, Marge. Gulp, or two, no, what'd she say? Two and a half words for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Gulp and gulp and go. Or yeah, is it
yeah.
gulp?
Gulp
I
and
guess
blow.
blow. Thank you. Gulp
Yeah.
and blow. And Marge rushes off to the gulp and blow, and drives up to the to to the order speaker at the drive-through, and she gets a, what do you want? And Marge says quite romantically, my husband by my side. And of course, I think it takes Homer a second to realize that it's Marge. And anyways, he runs outside, and he agrees. I think they hug, and they have a nice moment. And Marge Homer also notices that Marge is gigantic by this time, because it implies
Yeah.
that he's been gone for a minute, right? Like he is taking them a minute, because he does also send her money once or twice too. So
Hmm.
anyways, he still feels like he can't provide a good life for her. They won't even tell him the secret sauce because he's a trainee. And can't buy him a decent wedding ring. And this is when you get the iconic onion ring wedding ring thing that happens, right? Which is very
Right.
iconic. That the first, like Homer proposes to Marge with an onion ring, and she accepts,
Can I
even though
take it off?
technically
The
they're
grease is
already
burning my
married.
finger.
Yeah, they're already married, but that's okay. She accepts again,
But
and
now she has a ring.
she has that he eats. So now she doesn't have a ring again. I'm
Well,
just
she
gonna point
has to
that out.
take it off. If she really wanted it, she would have never taken it off.
um, so then they must spend some time together, because the sun comes up, and Marge leaves, and as she leaves, Homer decides like this is a turning point for him, and that he needs to do something, right? He needs to do something to like put things right and make it so he's a good husband and a good provider. And he rips off his trainee shirt. Underneath, he's wearing a shirt that says "I shot Jr." That's a nice piece of cultural reference right there. That is very timely for
Is
that
that
time, because that's
Dallas?
yeah, yep. Who shot Jr. on Dallas was the big thing, right? So and he's wearing an "I shot Jr."
And 5 seasons
Shirt.
later, we're gonna do a Who Shot Mr. Burns.
Burns. There we go. Um, so Homer throws his trainee uniform in the garbage, and apparently goes home, gets changed, puts on a suit, goes to the nuclear power plant, where he can walk right through security. Apparently, even though it says you can't just walk through security, he does, and he storms into Mr. Burns' office, new and revigored with like spunk, pep.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
he's definitely motivated.
he's motivated, and I did not I forgot about this scene, and when I was watching it I was like, oh yeah, Mr. Burns is a video gamer. I had totally forgotten that he's a video gamer, because
He's playing Pac-Man.
he's playing Miss Pac-Man.
Oh, that's right.
And I think there's even like it there's a little moment too where like he's waiting for all the ghosts to come up behind him, and he's like, yes, and he like turns around to eat them all, like
What? Mr. Burns doing something evil? No way.
they make it feel sinister. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's not just somebody playing Pac-Man. It's
But
like
that's actually just a
instead of
great strategy in Pac-Man.
it is, but it feels sinister right then, right? Um, Homer storms in. Um, I think Smithers says he's going to call security or whatever, and Homer starts talking, basically saying like,
You want someone you can walk all over.
thank you. Someone that will kiss your butt, someone that will do whatever you say. That's me. I'm your guy. And Mr. Burns tells Smithers, oh hey, no, wait, don't call anybody. I like this guy's attitude, and he's feisty. I like this part. He's feisty yet spineless. I do like that part. um, Smithers pointed out that he failed the aptitude test and got trapped in the closet on the way out. Mr. Burns says, Smithers, weren't you listening? I like this part too, because weren't you listening? This man was a born follower. Anyways, Mr. Burns hires Homer, and Homer is very excited and asks about medical coverage, when he's told medical and dental, which is perfect because, he's got a pregnant wife that's about to pop anytime soon. Um, uh, and in classic Mr. Burns style, he asks who was that guy that was just in here, right? Except he says, who was that young Hellcat? I see that now, but he asks, because I like that that's a reoccurring theme where Mr. Burns is always asking who that was after
Yeah,
Homer
I'm
leaves.
gonna remember him.
Yeah. Homer rushes home to tell Marge that he's got a job. Too late. Marge is already off to the hospital. Marge's mom, even though she doesn't like Homer, does take him to the hospital, which shows that she must not hate him, at least,
Well, until he says, "Thanks, Mom," and she's like, "Don't ever call me that again."
It's true. It's true. Um. Anyway, so they get there. Marge hasn't had the baby yet. He informs everybody that he's paying for the baby for this delivery, so they should respect. Like basically, he's like, respect me. I'm paying for this baby. I got a job. I can do this now, right? Kind of. I'm a man now. I'm a man.
Now you're a man.
I do like that when Homer tells everybody that he got a job at the nuclear power plant as a nuclear technician, Dr. Hibbert's response to that is, "Good God!"
Yeah.
And then Homer starts listing all the things he's gonna do. The next day, which is like, I'm gonna go buy your ring back. I'm gonna go house hunting. I'm gonna go to the dentist. And Marge is like, don't you start tomorrow? And he's like, someone will cover for me. I do like that part too. Like I just got this job. Somebody will cover for me. Homer tries to deliver the baby because Marge starts experiencing more labor pains, but instead Dr. Hibbert takes care of it. And little baby boy Bart is born, and they have a lovely moment where Homer points out, as long as he's got 8 fingers and 8 toes, he's fine by me.
Yeah,
And
then Bart sets his tie on fire.
yeah, I was gonna say right away, Bart, he uses those 8 fingers to grab a lighter and set his tie on fire.
He did that on purpose.
And I like too that right away Marge defends him. How could he? He's only 10 minutes old and couldn't have done that on purpose. So then we come back to the present day, and Homer's happy. These memories have made him very happy, and he wants to hug all his kids because that was the day that was one of the best days of his life, and then he got to do it 2 more times, and he's very happy about it, and it was fun. It was I think really the idea that they're giving you there is that he liked retelling that story to his kids because it like brought up good memories,
Right.
that maybe he'll have to relive again because there might be another bun in the oven. But at that moment, Marge walks in, and right away she gets in the door. Homer, I'm not pregnant. They both yell yes, do a leaping high five. roll credits. So as lovely as that was, no baby. But yeah,
No baby.
I wanted to ask, like, I wanted to ask you because this is how I felt when I was watching this. Like, I think it's a very good episode. I think it has lots of great backstory and moments and things like that. But I didn't, again, this is another one where I just didn't feel like it was that funny of an episode most of the time. Like, there's a good couple chuckles, but it's not like
This
some of the other ones.
definitely feels like one of the ones where they weren't. I mean, not that they're not trying to be funny,
No.
but where they were like, all right, let's skew more serious, more sitcom than, cartoon family make funny, haha.
Right? Interestingly enough, one of the was it one of the showrunners? Yeah, one of the showrunners considered season 3 to be the best season because because they had learned how to grind out first class Simpsons episodes with regularity, and they had a big cast to work with. Um, but it's like he was saying, like he's saying, like the stories are more, uh, they're more than, like they're not just like they developed more as a team and more as a thing. So I think that's where you get some of these like more background story. Like telling like how Bart was born and like the
And
origin
I think
stories.
it's the
That's the word I was
first
looking
time we
for.
get one because we're gonna get a ton of these,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think it's the first one that we get.
yeah. So like and I do agree. This is a very good season. Just and I get it, right? Like if you're a writer and you don't know how long the Simpsons are going to go on for, you don't necessarily know there's going to be another 20
I was gonna say none of them can
or
have
freaking
33,
8 years.
33 seasons. Yeah,
Yeah. You don't know that you don't know that you have all this time to tell these stories. I would think that like, cuz you're trying to be more of just like a general sitcom, right? Than just a laughy cartoon, right? So
right,
you're
right.
like these episodes are going to come up and I think making these episodes nice, right? Like you want them to be a good story that everyone can enjoy on a story level. And it is it is very heartfelt and touching, that whole episode. And then the schmaltzy ending at the end, right? Where he's like, and we were blessed 2 more times.
Right, right. But we're not having another one. Yay.
Yay. Also, he points out too that like the showrunner, he points out that a lot of the stories were pretty grounded. Not that they didn't take a couple leaps out in space, like with Homer at the bat, but like he felt like that's part of what makes this season special is that a lot of the episodes are pretty grounded. So this would be one of those pretty grounded episodes, right? Where it's just
Yeah, yeah. Nothing grandiose really taking place other than
yeah,
Homer walking in and getting a job at a nuclear power plant.
for being a kiss up, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
so where does this fall on the rating for you? I mean, we've already done the character
yeah, yeah,
bio,
yeah.
so
I would say for me better than the last one. Um, I'd probably give it a 2.9.
I think that's fair.
It
I think
doesn't.
it's fair.
I feel like giving it a 3 would be a
Too
little
much.
too much. Because I did, for me, I want to laugh. I don't want the sappy stuff as much. I'll go somewhere sappier to get it. Does that make sense? I'm not
Yeah, oh,
looking to
yeah,
The
yeah.
Simpsons for my sappy material. Not that that's
No.
what this is completely, but it's also a great episode. It is beautiful. If you are like, I could show this to my kids and it would be something that they like because they don't know the origin of a lot of the Simpsons, even though it's going to change a dozen times. But you know,
I'm I'm right there with you. I think I was like a 2.5. Like I like this one better than the last one, I think. You get the onion ring wedding ring, and there are some really good jokes in there like the impregnable castle, the I do like most Simpsons episodes where they include a montage of somebody doing a bunch of stuff and it always failing or whatever. I do enjoy the fail montages.
yeah,
I don't know. I like them. So it had a few things in there that I definitely like, and I do like the origin stories. I do think they're interesting. Um, so yeah, I was liking about. I thought three. I too thought 3 was too much because it's good and it's got the feels. But yeah, I was like, I don't necessarily watch The Simpsons for like the how romantic
right.
feeling.
Ooh, we're tough on them tonight.
I know. I know. We're being super critical, but it's still a good episode. Season 3 in general it is. I don't disagree with this with the show with one of the showrunners who said it's one of the best seasons. It is a great season because they had totally settled into like their patterns and they had established the characters pretty much and stuff like that. And they didn't have characters looks changing radically anymore. They were kind of settled in and it's like this is what this character looks like and this is what this character sounds like. So it was a very good season. It was a very good season. Plus we got some great episodes coming up and we've had a couple good ones already, but we have
100%.
some great episodes coming up. So it's good. Do you wanna do the, I don't have any trivia cards, so if you wanna do some
Sure,
trivia,
sure, sure.
this
Let
is
me
the
give
time.
you a couple trivia questions here, Kristen. 2 trivia questions for you tonight. The first, what does Mayor Quimby declare the funnest day in the history of Springfield? Is it A, snow day, B, bring your niece to work day, or C, tax day?
Oh, is it snow day? Because I know
It
there
is
is this
snow
as I
day.
say, I
It
know
is
there's
snow
I'm
day.
like, I feel like that's a speech he made at this on that one big snow day episode, the big snow day episode, right?
Right.
With the I feel like that's where that came from.
And the second is, which regular Simpsons character re-enlisted into the army? Principal Skinner, Homer, or Barney?
Oh, I'm a little stumped on that one because I think it might have been Principal Skinner, but part of me remembers an episode where Barney's got a uniform on, so I'm reaching way back in there. Is it Principal Skinner?
It is Principal Skinner. You're probably thinking when Barney becomes an astronaut.
No, I'm literally just thinking of a random episode where he has a uniform on.
Okay. So yeah, the one where, if I'm not mistaken, the one where Principal Skinner re-enlists is with the one where Bart gets him fired
Right.
and he feels like he's got nothing left, so he goes back to the army. And that's
Army.
the one where like a lot of people use the when someone replies K, it's
Yeah.
that K that flies through the air and lands because the Quickie Mart explodes because Bart shot a
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. 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 Those are
It's that episode.
those were good questions. Those are good. I had to think. It's funny when when you do those sometimes because you're like, "Ooh, I remember seeing this," and you like you see the scenes in your head, right? And you're like, "Oh, what
But then
one
like
was that?"
700 episodes, so
Yeah, so you're kind of like, "Is that like was that in that one?" Anyways, good
right.
questions. Thank you for the questions. Um,
100%.
I had fun. I had fun doing this tonight.
I did too. Go find
It
us
was
on all the
it was
social
fun.
medias, all that good stuff.
Email us if you have to with free
Yeah,
stuff.
you want to.
Emails with
Cromulent
free
Show at
stuff.
everything. CromulentShow@gmail.com.
Be like, I would like to talk about The Simpsons with you guys. That's another reason you could email us, right? I would like to talk The
100%.
Simpsons with you guys. That's
100%.
another thing. I have an
We
idea of
love
something for
talking
you
The
guys to talk
Simpsons.
about. Yes.
Yes.
All
Send it
right.
in. Okay. Anything else?
I'm Kristen. You're Jesse, and this was fun.
Hell yeah.
Shh.